Yesterday we started about animal fiber, right? We have so far seen about plant fiber, where we learned the definition of fiber. We came to know that fibers are spun into yarn, and then yarns are woven or knit into a fabric, right? So we started with plant fiber, where we learned about cotton. We learned what type of soil is required. Alluvial and black soil is required for cotton, and they grow in lemon-sized pods. Those pods, they ripen and burst open. With the seeds, the fiber will be there, and it is processed. The first step is ginning with the help of roller gins. The cotton fiber with the seeds are put into the roller gins, where the seeds are separated. Okay, so we get a fiber which is free from the seeds, and that fiber is called lint, right? Those lint are then packed as bales using packing materials. They are packed and sent to the second step called spinning, where on a large scale spinning machines are used to spun the fiber. Okay. It is also done in small scale industry. In mostly in villages, it is done using spinning wheels and which is called charkha, and also spindle. That is, they have to do it manually, but that's done in a very mere place, very few places. Okay, on a large scale, it is done on spinning wheels. Then the third step is, after it is spun into a yarn, it is sent to the factories for making it as a fabric, right? So weaving, looms are used, power looms are used. It is also done manually, and that is called hand loom, which is a part of our heritage. Yes, hand loom, where the yarns are overlapped. Okay, so different yarns overlap. Shafa, stop sharing your screen. Okay. See, don't make it as a habit to tell it in every class that don't share the screen. Okay, you've come to sixth standard. Now you should know that how you should obey to the teachers. Okay, and if you start sharing, it is going to interrupt the class, right? So don't do that. And it's very obvious, whoever is sharing, your name will come on the screen. So don't think that your name cannot be saved. So don't let your brother or sister, if they are younger to you, don't let them sit next to you. Go and sit separately and pay attention to the class. Okay. Yes. So coming back, weaving. Yes. So after weaving, what is weaving? Overlapping of yarns is called weaving, right? So two yarns, different yarns will overlap. That is called weaving, right? Am I right? Yes. I want a quick yes, because I've been teaching this lesson very slowly, just to make it very clear to you, right? Okay. Now, next is knitting. Knitting is what? Over interlocking of the yarns is called knitting, right? Sweaters, socks, they are knitted, right? So this is how we get cotton fabric from the fiber. And khadi and denims are two types of cotton clothes. Cotton is very light, it is breathable, it is skin friendly, it is biodegradable, it is durable. Okay, so these are the characteristics of cotton, and it is used for making textiles, for making bed sheets, pillows, for as fillers for pillows and mattresses, for making curtains, for making tablecloths. So many things are made, right, for using cotton. Coming to the next plant fiber, very important plant fiber is jute. Jute is the cheapest fiber, right? It is low in cost, right? It is also called dash fiber. What is it called? What is the other name for jute? It is also called dash fiber because of its color. See, if you keep sharing your screen, I'm going Okay. See, if you are going to continue this, I'm going to report your name to principal ma'am. I'm going to remove you from the meeting. Is that okay?
Excuse
I
me,
have
ma'am.
left the meeting. Ma'am?
Ma'am, screen share பண்றவங்கள நான் waiting listல வச்சிரேன் ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. If they are sharing, I'll give the names to principal ma'am. அதுதான் நான் உங்கள்ட்ட பேர் கொடுத்துறேன் இல்லைன்னா பிரின்சிபல் மேம்கிட்ட கொடுத்துறேன். Okay, now we'll continue. So jute fiber is also called dash fiber. What is the answer? Quickly, I need the answer. Jute fiber is also called dash fiber because of its color, as it is off-white to brown in color. What is that? Golden fiber. Very good. Srinidhi, Jotham, Ritula, Saif Ahmed. Very good, very good. Okay, good. Yeah, so jute, it grows in alluvial soil, right? It needs plenty of rainfall. It grows in standing water. So there has to be water every time. Then only the plant can grow. It will give a good yield, right? So when it starts flowering, at the flowering stage, the stems, the stalks are cut. They are tied in bundles and they are put in soaked in water for 3 weeks. Okay, for 3 weeks they are soaked in water. Then what happens? It will keep absorbing the water. It will become soft. After 3 weeks, it will be very easy to separate the fibers manually by hand. Okay, that's why it is soaked in water for 3 weeks. So after separating the fiber, they wash it thoroughly in running water and it is sun dried and then tied again in bundles and sent to the mills for the next. And jute is also a biodegradable fiber. It is the cheapest fiber. It is eco-friendly. It is used for making bags, for making carpets, rugs, for making even dresses. Okay, so there are different uses. It is used as a packaging material, right? So these are the different uses of jute. Next, coir. Coir is obtained from the coir is obtained from the it is obtained from what? Coconut. Very good, Hannah. It is obtained from the husk of coconut. Okay, so the fibrous outer coating is also called the husk. It is of the coconut is made as coir. Okay, that is obtained from coir is obtained from the husk of coconut. They are soaked in water and they are beaten with wooden mallets and then it is separated. Right? Excuse me. Yes. Okay. So, another important question. Which state is the major producer of jute in India? West Bengal. Very good. Very good. Very good. West Bengal is the major producer of jute. It accounts 50% of the raw jute production. Okay, and India is the largest producer of jute in the world, right? Apart from West Bengal, we have Jharkhand, Bihar, and Assam, where jute plantation cultivation is done. Okay, next, coir. Kerala is the major producer of coir in India. In the world, Sri Lanka is the leading producer of coir. Okay. Then we learned about flax. Flax plant, the stem is used, and a cloth called linen is made from the flax fiber. And then currency notes are made from flax fiber. Then hemp, rami, sisal, the leaves of these plants are used to make fabric to make fiber. And from hemp, a special type of plastic, special kind of plastic is made, which is eco-friendly. Okay, so these are the fibers which are obtained from the plant, and then we started learning about the fibers that we obtain from the animals. So silk is obtained from the cocoons of silkworm, right? Rearing of silkworms on a large scale to obtain this fiber is called sericulture, right? It is a commercial cultivation of silkworm for the production of silk. That is what is sericulture. So it is done on a large scale. how do we get the silk? From the cocoons, right? So what happens is the female silk moth will lay 300 to 400 eggs. She will lay 300 to 400 eggs at a time. Yes, and then these eggs are incubated. I'm telling what happens in sericulture. They are incubated. That means they are kept at a perfect temperature. They are incubated at 25 degrees Celsius. So this is the right temperature for the eggs to hatch. And then after 14 days, the eggs hatch. When they are kept in 25 degrees Celsius, after 14 days, the eggs hatch and the caterpillar or the larva comes out. As the caterpillar comes out, it will be very hungry. As soon as it comes out, it will start eating the fresh mulberry leaves. So in sericulture, what they'll do, they on a large tray, bamboo trays, they'll put the freshly chopped mulberry leaves for the caterpillars to eat. Larvae or caterpillar, they are the worms. Okay. So this stage of the moth is called larvae. We don't call it as worm, we call it as caterpillar or larvae. Okay. Then they start eating. They eat for 1 month. For 4 weeks, they keep eating the mulberry leaves. They eat so much. The caterpillar, it eats 50,000 times more than its weight. Yes, you heard it right. It eats 50,000 times more than its weight. And in this 1 month, in this process of eating, it grows 10,000 times more than its size. So when it came out breaking the egg, if it was of this size, it would grow 10,000 times more than its size, and it would eat 50,000 times more than its weight. So for 1 month, it keeps on eating, and in this process, it starts growing, and during the process of growing, it keeps shedding the skin. Right? It keeps shedding. This life cycle of silk moth and all you would have learned in your 4th standard, right? 4th, 5th standard. So this process of shedding the skin is called molting, and that means it's the sign of that the caterpillar is growing. Okay, so it sheds the skin 3 times, 4 times, 3 to 4 times. Okay, so that is called molting. Then what happens? It goes into, after 1 month of eating and growing, it goes to the next stage, which is called the pupal stage or the pupa stage, where what happens? The caterpillar, what it does? It starts spitting. It secretes saliva. The saliva contains protein. Yes, the saliva of the caterpillar contains protein. Okay, fibron protein. This protein, when it comes in contact with the air, when it spits, when it comes in contact with the air, it solidifies. Saliva is what? Fluid, right? So when it comes in contact with the air, it solidifies. This will spit the saliva in the shape of 8. So like this, 8. Why? To cover itself, to wound itself, weave a net around itself from top to bottom. So like that, it will keep spitting and it will weave a net around itself. It will cover itself around a soft, spongy cushion kind of fiber. Okay. And should we eat pupa saliva? Why should we eat pupa saliva? Why are we talking about eating? I didn't say we are going to eat it. I said the caterpillar spits the saliva, right? Saliva is what? Liquid. When the saliva of caterpillar comes in contact with the, see, pay attention, right? I'm going slowly, so just pay attention. I'm repeating for you. You'll understand it. So when it spits, it comes in contact with the air, right? When it is spitting out, it is obviously coming in contact with the air. When it comes in contact with the air, it solidifies. That means it becomes a solid. It becomes a thread-like thing. It becomes a fiber, right? So the caterpillar spits the saliva in the shape of 8 to cover itself totally from top to bottom. Most of you would have seen white color spongy ball kind of thing on leaves. Somewhere you would have seen in any tree. Okay, that spongy cushion kind of thing is called cocoon. Okay, and the worm will be inside the cocoon, so it is wrapping itself inside a cocoon. Okay, so now the caterpillar which is inside the cocoon is called pupa. It is not called caterpillar, it is called pupa. Yes. Okay, so it will be there inside the cocoon. It will take rest nicely for 3 weeks. Okay, after 3 weeks, what happens is in sericulture, as we make the silk, right? So they will take the cocoon, the farmers, the silk rearers, what they'll do, they'll collect the cocoons according to their size, larger ones, medium ones. So according to the texture, they'll collect them and they'll put them into boiling water. When they put them into boiling water, the pupa dies. Right? Why they have to kill the pupa? Because if they don't, one step is to get the fiber, so they will kill the pupa. Okay, so the pupa dies and then they remove the cocoon, and with the help of machines they unravel or disentangle the thread. So without causing any damage to the fiber, they will disentangle it and they will collect it and they'll send to the mill, because this is raw silk. They'll send it to the mill for dyeing, then spinning, and then we get the fabric. Okay, understood. So to get the fiber, we have to kill the cocoon. Now, another thing which is also done is they will not kill the pupa. Why? Because they have to get the adult moth. Adult female moth has to be there to give the eggs, right? If they kill all the worms, who will lay eggs, right? So some of the cocoons will be left aside. What happens is those which are untouched, those cocoons, after 3 weeks, they will break the cocoon and come out, emerge out as an adult moth. Am I making yourself clear? Okay, so cocoon, when it is left for 3 weeks, after 3 weeks, it breaks open the cocoon and emerges out as an adult moth. Now, these adult moths are very important because these adult moths will only lay the eggs. If the adult moths are killed, then who will lay the eggs? Right? 300 to 400 eggs are laid by these moths. So, adult moths are also very important because they play an important role by laying eggs. Okay. Then, second part, as I said, sericulture is what? To collect the silk fiber. So, the cocoons are put into hot boiling water and the pupa is killed. The cocoon is taken, unraveled, disentangled using a machine, and that process is called reeling. Reeling. Okay, this is how we get the silk fiber. That is raw silk and that is sent for dyeing and for spinning, and then we get the fiber. Different type of clothes are made, right? And India and China are the major silk producing countries in the world, right? Silk is a very shiny, very smooth, very lustrous, durable, long lasting, and a very strong fiber. Okay, but the thing is, it loses its strength when it is wet. That is why most of you would have seen at home, your grandma's mummies will not wash the silk saris or silk dhotis at all. We give it for dry cleaning because silk loses its strength when it is wet. So this is for dry cleaning and it has to be maintained very properly. Okay. Now coming to the next animal fiber, which is wool. Okay, wool is obtained from the one second. Yeah, wool is obtained from the fleece. Fleece means the hair of sheep. It is obtained from goat. It is obtained from yak, musk, oxen, rabbit, Angora rabbit, llama, alpaca, Bactrian camel. So there are different animals from whom the fleece is obtained to make the woolen fabric. Okay, right. So what is the first step? First step is shearing. Shearing. Okay, shearing is removing the hair, the fleece using small machine, which would look like a trimmer, and it doesn't hurt the animal at all. And when is the hair removed? See, you will find all these animals in the mountainous regions where it is the weather will be chill, will be very cold. Okay, so they'll be in those mountainous regions, and these hair will give them protection, will keep those animals warm in those cold climates, right? Air is a very poor conductor of heat. That means it cannot carry away heat. So that's why the heat which is produced by the animal, see, our body also produces heat. When you touch your body, you will feel that warmth. Okay. So the animals also produce, their body produces heat, and that will get that will be trapped inside the hair. Okay, it will not move away from the body, and it will make the body make the animal feel warm. Okay, yeah, angora goat, angora rabbit, they also give uh, I mean, we obtain fleece from those animals. Okay, there are different types of animals apart from sheep, from whom the fleece is obtained to make the woolen fabric. Okay, yeah. So it is, the hair is removed using the machine. It doesn't hurt the animal, and it is removed on the onset of summer, when the winters get over, because they are in the winter time, they need the hair because that keeps the animal warm, right? So they'll not remove during the winter time. When the winters are over, after that they will remove the hair using these machines. And these hair, as they are hair, you know, your hair, if you don't wash your hair for 1 week, how will it be? It will be sticky, greasy, right? So these hair will also have impurities, so these hair will be sent for washing. They wash using mild detergent, and on large tanks using hot water. Using mild detergent, they will wash this hair, they will dry it, and they will send to the factories where it is sorted out, where dyeing takes place. They will color it, then it is sent for spinning, and then it is made into a fabric. Okay, Australia is the largest producer of wool in the world. Which country is the largest producer? Australia is the largest producer. Okay. Next, coming to artificial fiber. Artificial fiber, which are also called man-made fiber, synthetic fiber, they are made using chemicals. Okay, chemicals are used to make these artificial fibers. Nylon, polyester, these are made from the chemicals of petroleum. Okay, they are made from the chemicals of petroleum. So these chemicals, they are boiled, and they are passed through a large device, where the device will have tiny holes. Okay, a large device with tiny holes, and these chemicals, which are hot and in a molten state, will be passed through. Okay, Satyanarayanan, can you please stop telling all these things and pay attention to the class? If you keep discussing about the animal, you're not listening to what I'm talking, and then finally you'll not understand what is this chapter all about. So large device called spinneret is used. Okay, this device will have small holes, and when the chemical, which I said, like chemicals are only used to make the fiber, artificial fiber, synthetic fiber, or man-made fiber. All the three terms are the same. Okay, they are synonyms, right? So these chemicals are passed through this device called spinneret, which has tiny holes on them, and when these chemicals passed, it comes out through these tiny holes as long threads. Okay, these threads are then they are twisted, they are made into yarn, and then they are sent to the factories for making fabric. Okay. So same thing. Those long thread-like structures are like fiber, and they are spun into yarn, and then the yarn is made into a fabric. They are sent to factories for making fabric. Right? Now, the synthetic fiber or artificial fiber or man-made fiber are very strong fiber. They are long-lasting. They are durable. They are wrinkle-free. Right? They are stain-resistant. Wrinkle-free means you will find cotton, if you keep using for 6 months, you will find that it will start shrinking. It will have wrinkles. You'll have to definitely iron it. Whereas artificial fibers, you don't have to iron it. They are wrinkle free. They are stain resistant. Okay, so there are advantages that of using artificial fiber, but there are disadvantages too. They are not skin friendly. They are not eco friendly. They are not biodegradable. They are chemicals, so they are not biodegradable. So if you throw a old cotton shirt and old nylon shirt, what will happen? The cotton shirt will get decomposed after a few months, whereas the nylon shirt will be there as such. So they are not skin friendly. And as they are made from chemical, they catch heat and they make you feel warm. They'll increase your body temperature. So you can use those kind of fibers during winter time. Another drawback is they catch fire. They melt. Okay, chemical, they start melting when they catch fire, and when they melt, it will stick to your skin. So it will cause damage to your skin, right? Whereas cotton, just an example, generally for during festival times, especially Diwalis, your grandparents or all the elders will ask you to wear cotton clothes, right? And you've learned it in books too that you should wear cotton clothes. Why? Because when you are dealing with crackers, cottons, if they catch fire, they will not stick to your body. You can immediately just remove it. It will not cause any skin burns. Whereas chemical fibers, man-made fiber, they will stick to your body if they catch fire, because they're made of chemical. So chemical will start melting and it will get stuck to your body, and you will get skin burns. Am I clear? Yes? Any doubts? And it's a very kind request to everyone. Please don't share your screen and don't chat unnecessarily until and unless your teacher is asking anything. If your teacher is asking you to answer, you answer. Otherwise, just maintain the decorum. Right. Okay, no doubts. Fine. Okay, so I'm giving you time. In a couple of days, you will get an assessment through Google Form. So please go through the PowerPoint slide and prepare for your assessment. Okay, in the next class, I'll ask you some objective questions and then we'll quickly discuss the question answers. You all got the content, right? The question answers content of this chapter, Fiber to Fabric. I want everybody to learn the very short answers and short answers of this chapter. Yes? Okay, so go through the PowerPoint slide and learn those things. Okay, fine. So cycle test, no, you will get intimation if there is cycle test. Okay, no doubts. Okay, let me see. Let me ask just few questions to you. Let me see if you answer. Coir is used to make currency notes. Is it true or false? Coir is used to make currency note. Is it true or false? False. Which plant fiber is used to make currency notes? Flax. Very good. Which part of flax is used? The leaf or the stem? Very good. Flax is the right answer. Very good. Stem or bast. Very good. It's a bast fiber. Very good. India is the largest producer of wool in the world. It's not Steam, Murli, Anand. It is STEM. STEM. Okay, good. Which country is the largest producer of wool in the world? Australia. Very good. And Australian merino sheep is the name of the breed of the sheep, which contributes or makes Australia the world's largest producer of wool. So that breed is there, called Australian merino breed, from whom the fleece is obtained and made into woolen fabric. Okay, so right, I'll wind up with this and we'll continue tomorrow. So tomorrow, get ready. I'll ask you objective type questions and we'll discuss the question answers and start preparing for your assessment, because that will be taken as your internal. Bye. Take care. Stay safe. Thank you.